So Emily, thanks so much for doing this.
Oh my God, thank you.
For people who've been reading you for years, you grew up in Fields Corner.
Yes.
In Dorchester.
Yeah.
Tell us about your childhood and what made you want to become a reporter.
Oh wow. I mean, I've always loved like working in media, working with media, and yeah, growing up in Dorchester was great. There weren't many adults around, so it was like children roaming the streets almost. And yeah, I mean, when I was like real young, I actually had like a boombox and cassette tapes. I don't know if anybody remembers those.
Yes.
Like,
oh, absolutely.
and I used to like interview people and do like a podcast.
So
from
you
the
like
80s.
the neighborhood characters.
Oh my God, absolutely.
So you were an athlete, you played ice hockey.
Yes.
And Boston Latin School.
Yep.
And then where?
That went Northeastern.
In Northeastern.
Yeah, went to play hockey.
So when did you start at the Globe?
So I actually did a co-op at the Globe in college.
That's great.
And that's what really like, you know, being in the newsroom, seeing how it worked is when I really knew like, okay, this is something I want to do.
This is it.
Yeah.
So over the course of your career, I mean, you've really done so much. You've written several books.
Yep.
You've investigated cold cases.
Yep.
Did you ever think there was like a niche, you know, that you were going for, or did the stories find you?
You know, a combination.
Yeah.
I mean, I get like great, I'm sure you do too, like amazing tips from people who, you know, read and watch. And also finding stories, talking to people, being out and about, you know, just being out in the world. You like, you notice like weird things, like, you know, where the hell did that come from?
Where did that
you know
come
what I mean?
from?
And yeah, finding stories that way.
And did you always feel as though in a lot of news markets, as media became kind of nationalized, Boston was unique, that people in the Boston area like their reporters to have grown up here. Did you always feel that?
You know, I think it's like major.
We know where the bodies are buried.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's I think it's major like bonus points, like for real. Like, I think, you know, Boston has like that kind of like towny undercurrent that has never gone away. And so, you know, when I like go out into neighborhoods and like, you know, interviewing people, often, you know, some of them, I think some people might not want to talk, will open up a little bit more to me because, you know, they hear and they know that I'm from the neighborhood and, you know, I grew
it's
up
not
in
off-putting
Boston.
to them. So let's talk about what's happened over the last month.
Yeah.
Because you've covered a lot of stories. Suddenly, this home invasion in Beverly happened.
Yep.
It was a big story that morning.
Oh,
you know, that was unusual because that house was something else.
Yes.
And then what happened?
Yeah, so I mean, I was covering that, you know, the mansion robbery story with my colleague Leah Skeen, and I happened to get the homeowner on the phone, was able to interview him and get information about, he gave me some, you know, good intel on what actually went down, and the poor caretaker that got roughed up, and yeah, so I mean, I made a video, and as we do at the Globe, we're very like social media forward, we have reporters making videos all the time. And I just did my usual thing. And, you know, I talked about the story, what was happening with the mansion and everything. And, you know, the next morning I was like, wow, like 900,000 views. I was like,
suddenly it just blew up.
Yes.
And went viral. Do you think it's because he stole a car?
I mean, possibly.
It was Beverly and he stole a car?
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, to me, like I say the word caretaker, totally normal.
Of course.
But yeah, a lot of people, I was looking at the comments and it's like, we're commenting on how I was talking and my accent, and also the Adidas track jacket I was wearing. I happened to wear that day. So yeah, it was kind of funny.
So interesting. What kind of response have you had in the newsroom from readers, from people who've seen it online? There seems to be this attraction to, you know, obviously you're very real. You grew up in Boston, you're from here, and your realness is what came through.
Yeah, I mean, I don't put on any airs, you know what I mean? Like, I'm, you know, just me, you know? And, you know, people ask, like, you know, did I plan what I was wearing that day? I was like, no, like, that's how I dress, you know what I mean? And it was just another video, just another day. And, but what's been great is, like, how positive the response has been. You know, working for, you know, in the media, sometimes, you know, the response isn't as positive.
People can be harsh.
Yes.
Both to newspapers, but also on social media. It's really encouraging to hear that people, and they were saying things to you, like, you know, that they loved hearing from someone who understood the story, knew the area.
Yeah.
What else did you hear that made you think, wow, that's really nice?
Yeah, I mean, just a lot of people saying like, you sound trustworthy. You sound like you're from here. You know what you're talking about. Just thanks for delivering the news. I'm really interested in the story. Just hearing things like that and hearing people interested in journalism and headlines, I mean, has really like renewed my faith in
your
media.
faith, your fire.
Yeah.
I think, what do you think it says about the state of journalism, the state of media in America right now? Because there has been such a loss of trust for various reasons. And now, more than ever, people are looking for authenticity. They want to make sure they really believe who they're listening to and who they're reading.
Yeah.
So, what do you think social media can do to help journalists further their story?
Well, for one, you definitely broaden your audience. I mean, what's really interesting is that, obviously the Globe, we cover New England, but I'm getting messages from people like in Australia, like Guam, who are following. And it's great because it, really, broadens our fan base and shows the great journalism that we're doing. So
it's true. So, I know you have Maria, your producer here, who's a student at BU right now.
Yes.
What would you say to young journalism students who are studying now, looking at the landscape and maybe thinking, wow, it's a little scary? What would you say to encourage them?
I would say follow your heart. If you're really into working in media, it's always been hard. It's never been easy, and
it's true.
Follow your heart if that's where your passion lies. And definitely, social media really opens doors. I mean, look with this viral video, it's definitely, we've gotten, like just on the videos that we've made over the past couple weeks, we've gotten 5.5 million views across TikTok and Instagram just on those videos. It's, it hasn't been that long either.
And what hits me about this story too is Beverly is a small town in New England. It was a small town story. It wasn't something that might otherwise have national attention. But what you brought to it was that you went there, you got the facts, you talked to the homeowner, you did all the legwork that journalists do all the time. That I think in the past maybe it was obscured from readers.
No, I don't think a lot of people know like what goes into stories that we produce here at the Globe and other media outlets. The fact checking involved, the sourcing involved, like just the checking and the rechecking of facts. Again, with the Beverly story, I was working with a colleague, Leah Skeen. She was up in Beverly. I was working the phones, getting the homeowner on the phone. And, I think a lot of people don't realize all the work that goes into, producing a very well-sourced, accurate story.
So you really opened up the process. And that's what the video portion of your social media can do. That's great. What do you think newspapers should take away from this? There was a fear at one time about sending people to the website or incorporating video. What do you think it says about how this can move print reporting down the road?
Well, I think forming a relationship with your audience is really key in really any business, including media. Like, you really need to have a relationship, I think. And, having that relationship, I've gotten more story ideas, more tips have been coming in. And people messaging me saying like, hey, I've subscribed to the Globe. You know what I mean? So
they can read you. You think about the old newspaper personalities like Jimmy Breslin or,
legends.
Dion, at the Washington Post. They did have a following because they were columnists, but this kind of opens up that opportunity to reporters.
I think so. I mean, it's a new world. Like, I think that journalism has to evolve a little bit and to realize that, reporters are people, it's okay to take video of everything. I love that Maria producing the videos includes outtakes of me laughing or messing up and because that's life, and I think it's important for people to see just, a normal person delivering the news.
I think 100 years ago, reporters were referred to as ink-stained wretches.
Oh yes,
because they were. It was a journeyman's occupation. Right? You were talking to people. You were just gathering information that people needed every day, and maybe television kind of obscured that kind of work, and now we've come full circle.
I think so.
And a media star is born.
Right? Hey, right back at
After
ya.
25 years of hard work, right?
Better late than never, you know?
Emily Sweeney, thank you so much.
Thank you,
And
Paula.
congratulations. I'm so happy to see this.
Thank you so much.
So good for Boston and journalism.
Yeah, go media.
Go media.